Diddy's ex, Kim Porter, is found dead at 47.
Agent 76, rescue 82, cardiac arrest.
How many times did you personally witness him be violent?
Around 4 or 5 times. I seen him inside the car, grab her up. I seen him smack her. Kim got to the point where she fought back.
Then you hear about the fact that he broke Kim's nose? Cassie's story is Kim's story.
So many things were tampered with. Oh my God, her phone was hijacked. She had a second phone, by the way, and nobody got that phone. The ritualized sexual abuse of minors, that is what she hooked into. That is what she found out.
Kim Porter was working on a book before she died.
She was not sheltered and she was not naive to whom she had children with.
They took blood out of her body, ran tests, that's what it looks like to me, y'all tell me, and they found 4 different types of bacteria. White frothy sputum was issued from the mouth. She had a bruise on her upper left arm.
Kim died from pneumonia, but there's the first coroner's report that said that she died. It was ruled a homicide, and they found toxins in her body to prove that she had been poisoned. You know, they have poisons that create heart attack and pneumonia-like symptoms.
You got a lot of people that feel like Diddy, he probably had something to do with Kim Porter death.
My man, if you know what I know, I think that they should reopen her case and have an independent pathologist look at everything about her so she can rest in peace.
Let's get into it. Have you ever felt uncomfortable or unheard during a doctor's visit? It's the worst. You shouldn't have to feel that way when it comes to your health. Introducing Zocdoc, the platform where you could find and book doctors who listen and make you feel comfortable. Zocdoc offers tens of thousands of top-rated doctors with verified patient reviews. No more guessing games or awkward appointments. You can even score some same-day appointments. So if you need a doctor, this is what I use. Go to Zocdoc.com/Sloan and download the Zocdoc app for free. Then find and book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/SLOAN. Zocdoc.com/Sloan. Thank you for listening, and now back to the show. Welcome back to the Let's Get Into It podcast. Now that there is a federal investigation into Diddy, I thought it'd be a good time to re-examine Kim Porter's death, because I have a feeling that this investigation may shed light onto what really happened to her. Now, Kim Porter was a model, an actress, and once upon a time was Diddy's former assistant turned girlfriend in an on and off again relationship that lasted 13 years, and it was incredibly toxic. I mean, we see all this stuff coming out about Cassie. I can't imagine what Kim Porter went through. She also has 3 children with Diddy, 2 twin daughters and a son. Kim passed away in November 2018 of pneumonia, which is something I personally don't believe, and after this video, you may not believe it either. Keep in mind, she was only 47 years old. Diddy was quoted saying, 3 days before she passed, she wasn't feeling well. She had the flu and sent the kids over to my house so they wouldn't get sick. One night, I was checking on her and she was like, "Puffy, take care of my babies." She actually said that to me before she died.
Diddy's ex, Kim Porter, is found dead at 47. E! News can confirm that the model and actress who dated Sean Diddy Combs for 13 years was found dead at her home in Los Angeles.
Now let's get into what the reports say about Kim's death and then what we think happened. So she had been feeling unwell with flu-like symptoms for about 4 days before her death. Her autopsy report, which I have problems with as well, said her symptoms were coughing, congestion, sweats, and sore throat. She also had body aches, and it worsened over those days. Now, she did see a doctor and was given an anti-inflammatory drug, but despite getting that prescription, her symptoms did not get any better, and she started to cough up streaks of blood, and it just wasn't looking good. According to an emergency dispatch posted by TMZ, the call came in as cardiac arrest. A source told the outlet that she had been struggling with pneumonia, but at first they didn't know what happened to her.
Agent 76, rescue 82, cardiac arrest. Agent 76, you're going to get EMS 14.
Now, an autopsy was performed the next day and the cause of death was deferred pending further testing. So already we have some red flags because her body has been sent off and they need to do further tests to figure out what exactly happened to her, which in some cases makes sense, but for pneumonia, or what they came up with, it should have been more obvious. According to the coroner's report, Kim's body was screened for traces of alcohol and drugs, including cocaine and opioids, which all came up negative. She also was tested for a bunch of viruses, which also came up negative. Although the LA County Department Medical Examiner Coroner's Office, which LAPD, I mean, you guys have heard stories. I don't even need to go on and say that I don't trust them, but either way, they said that she had pneumonia. They ruled this later on, but fans were speculating that this didn't quite add up, especially with the timeline and the fact that she's 47 years old and that she's in ties with Diddy. Here's a conspiracy I found on Reddit. They write, the autopsy team needs to be questioned. Diddy allegedly has the potential of 8 bodies now. The witness count is over 50 people of interviews available with the celebrities, all aware of some aspect of this psychotic world. He had his hand in Tupac and Biggie's death. He also had a part in his ex-bodyguard Wolf, who was killed in a setup. He had his ex Kim Porter killed, and now he's been going after Jamie Foxx. Keep in mind that Jamie Foxx was battling some mysterious illness, and a lot of people felt that he was poisoned. This person goes on to say that Diddy has harmed 90% of his talent roster, and he's used drugs and pressured them with blackmail to abuse them. The victim list is insane. He has literally some, such as Meek Mill, Justin Bieber, Cassie, Danny Kane, Ja Rule, and hundreds more. Him and his sons are worded a yacht worker in the Caribbean, which we spoke about on my main channel. If this is all true, it makes sense why people like Cat Williams are speaking up or why Wendy Williams is suffering. One person added that pneumonia can be chemically induced, so someone could be poisoned and it could appear that they are suffering from this disease when in fact they are being poisoned by someone out to get them. But why would Diddy want to go get the mother of his children? Probably because she was going to expose him like he's being exposed now. Now let's get into some witnesses and some situations that really make me question what happened to Kim Porter, why I don't believe she died of pneumonia. And we have a lot of evidence to go off of because we've got ex-bodyguards speaking out saying that Diddy did get physical, not only with Cassie, like we saw in that horrible video, but also with Kim. Diddy's former bodyguard, Roger Bond, said that Diddy is a king manipulator. He can manipulate anything, anyone. Money and power is what he's all about. Now, Roger worked with Diddy for about a decade from 2003 into 2012. He did an interview with Piers Morgan where he revealed that he and other people were aware that Diddy was doing things to Cassie that were not okay. Roger also shared that Kim went through some similar treatment. The ex-bodyguard said he witnesses Diddy smack and grab Kim Porter. Roger told Piers Morgan that he saw Diddy get violent with women about 4 or 5 times during his tenure, saying, quote, "I've seen him get physical and grab him up," which is so appalling to think that he's seen this. And I mean, again, Diddy's scary, so I'm not trying to paint Roger into a bad guy, but I wish a lot of people spoke out sooner.
How many times did you personally witness him be violent towards women?
Around 4 or 5 times.
And was that all with Cassie, or was it Cassie and other women?
I seen him with Cassie, and I seen him with Kim Porter, his kid's mother.
Now, Roger was actually named in Cassie's lawsuit against Diddy. Roger described multiple alleged accounts of Diddy getting violent towards women in his close circles, including an incident with Kim Porter in front of the Beverly Hills Hotel. Now, he did not share when the alleged incident happened, but he said the former partners were fighting in a vehicle and he saw it go down. He said that Kim got out of the car, she fixed her hair, and she told Diddy that she wanted him to take responsibility and explain to the media while she was all torn up after he had grabbed her. He does allude to the fact that Kim once realized that she needed to stand up against Diddy and have power in the situation if she was going to survive. And of course, Diddy did not like that.
What did you see him do with Kim Porter?
I seen him inside the car, grab her up. I seen him smack her, you know. And one thing about Kim is Kim got to the point where she fought back because she realized how powerful she was. It was one incident on Sunset Boulevard in front of the Beverly Hills Hotel where I just seen the car rocking back and forth. You know, of course, he put everybody out the car, but I seen the car shaking, so I opened the door. I said, "What are you doing? You know, what are you doing? You see where we at and what are you doing?" And Kim got out the car like nothing happened, and she fixed her hair And she told him, she said, I want to see you explain to the media that scratch I'm going to put across your face if you put your hands on me again.
That is so strong that she felt the courage to fight back and defend herself, because so many people find themselves in these situations and they can't. I mean, I don't know if I would be able to stand up for myself. So good for her that she could do that. But I mean, he is a terrifying man. Gene Deal is another one of Diddy's former bodyguards, and he had something to say about Kim Porter's death. Gene Deal has been super outspoken when it comes to Diddy, and he has publicly said that he believes that they need to reopen Kim Porter's death case, which someone dying of pneumonia, that's pretty straightforward. So to reopen a case like that, it's difficult, and it also has to take some type of evidence or some lead that there was some mishandling. But honestly, at the end of this episode, you probably will agree that there definitely has been mishandling.
After the video came out of Diddy attacking Cassie, you got a lot of people that feel like Diddy, he probably has something to do with Kim Porter's death, and they want the police to reopen her case. How you feel about that?
My man, I wish, for the sake of Kim's family, because bruh, if you know what I know, he put Kim in a gold casket, then had security, 24-hour security at the funeral home, so nobody would go in there and touch the casket or take Kim out of there. I think that they should reopen her case and have an independent pathologist look at everything about her so she can rest in peace.
I like how he noted an independent person needs to be present and a part of this case, because he recognizes Diddy has money, he has power. The LAPD, I mean, they could get paid off easily if they want to cover up something. Just, name your price. Again, that's my opinion and what a lot of people say about the justice here in Los Angeles. Gene goes on to share other stories where Diddy had gotten physical with Kim because Kim had been, I guess, talking to other men. I mean, nothing justifies what he would be doing to her. Nonetheless, it's another piece of evidence that he has gotten physical with her in the past, and it doesn't seem to bother him to hurt her. So to kill her off, I mean, it wouldn't be a far stretch.
I could hear it in the suite, in the hotel suite, and then sometimes when Kim lived on 70th something street, and I would go upstairs with Diddy, you could hear the shit in the hallway. And I would just shake my head when he come out or whatever, and Kim would be in the house. And it's always about where she was at or who she was dealing with.
It's insane to me how Diddy really tried to isolate these women from everyone. And that he was out there sleeping around and harming other people, yet he had such a double standard. And he had people kind of like this guy, Genie, who enabled it. I mean, essentially, he was there and knew what was going on, and he didn't do anything about it because he was getting paid. Everyone around Diddy is getting paid, and he has so much protection because of it. He can get away with beating up a woman and then, paying off a hotel or paying off the police or whatever he needs to do to get away, but he's not going to be getting away for long.
Then you hear about the fact that he broke Kim's nose on a yacht?
Wow, I ain't hear about that.
He broke Kim, let's say allegedly, but it was told by people in her camp that he broke Kim's nose on a yacht. Cassie's story is Kim's story.
The fact that he could go as a man and go and hit this woman in the face, someone who, again, is the mother of his children, has been in his life for so long, is just repulsive. It shows that he really has no boundaries. One of the reasons why I think he left Kim and went on to Cassie was because he couldn't control Kim as much as he wanted to, because she did start to defend herself. That's something that Cassie has shared was so difficult for her to do because he was so controlling and powerful. She felt like she had no support, but Kim, I think, was so fed up that she realized this was a life or death situation.
You see a picture on the internet going with Puff, right hand is in a bandage. That's the night I was called by Paul to meet him over at St. Luke's Hospital. He had a white t-shirt wrapped around his wrist because Kim had took the cork, where you open up wine, the corkscrew. She took the corkscrew and caught him on his wrist defending himself. And he almost, I know he tore some ligament, but he almost hit an artery. I came close to the artery because he just kept bleeding.
Oh, God. I mean, hearing that, trigger warning, because imagine like I like my wine, and I know exactly what he's talking about with a corkscrew. And imagine that getting stuck onto your body and ripping you out, bleeding. I mean, good for her that she had that weapon available, but damn, I mean, the fact that it got to that point is so sick, and I just can't imagine why couples get to that or why they even get to that point. I mean, it can't be enjoyable for Diddy. I mean, unless he finds some sick joy out of this. I mean, it just seems like such a stressful situation for both people to be in, and it's really all Diddy's fault. But I want to talk a little bit about Kim Porter's alleged book, because this may have been one of the reasons why Diddy wanted to get rid of her. Now, supposedly, Kim Porter was writing a book, and this was something that Diddy did not want to happen. Unsubstantiated theories allege that Kim was in the midst of writing a book that would reveal intimate details about her past with Diddy. Speculation about the contents include abuse allegations, especially in the wake of Cassie's lawsuit. Kim Porter's fans have expressed demands that her death case be reopened to rule out their suspicions of murder. According to this TikTok posted by user HisMrs23, there are blind items from an anonymous source claiming that there was a book in the works. Kim Porter was already writing it, and that's what could have motivated Diddy to go after her. I mean, that is his MO. If you guys listen to Crime Podcast, I love Crime Junkie. They always talk about an MO, and a book revealing Diddy's secrets. I mean, that's a pretty good damn reason why Diddy would want to get rid of her. There are alleged notes in relation to Kim's supposed book that claims that Kim put up and witnessed certain things throughout their relationship. These things were allegedly going to be exposed in her tell-all book. The note also references other accusations reportedly involving Diddy, which include having to allegedly cover up Diddy's gay relationships, Diddy's alleged giving Usher an STD, and an explosive encounter between Diddy and Usher's mom. At one point, there was a note about Mary J. Blige being pregnant with Diddy and having an abortion. So there's a lot of exclusives that are told in this piece, which we don't know is fact or not.
When looking over the details of Kim and Diddy's relationship that will be exposed in the book, it will absolutely blow your mind. I was devastated to read the things that Kim put up with and witnessed during her relationship with Diddy. Also, some of the things in the book cover Diddy's gay relationships, footage of those encounters, the men he slept with, STDs, Diddy giving Usher an STD, and the explosive encounter between Diddy and Usher's mom, Mary J. Blige being pregnant by Diddy, and of course, she had an AB, the beatings Kim took, pushing him down the steps in 2007 and him breaking his foot. Also, how she would use a strap-on to please Diddy and how she would hysterically cry alone after doing so. How she protected Al B. Sure from running into Diddy and would call him to warn him not to show up to certain places to avoid trouble. And how she tried to put an end to Diddy by using a screw. How the East Coast and West Coast faked having beef to eliminate Biggie and Pac to obtain their masters and full-on catalog before Pac and Big were planning to come together and challenge Bad Boy and Death Row to own the rights to their music.
Now, this book wasn't ever publicly announced, but there are claims that Kim had footage of Diddy and Usher being intimate. Ooh. When Kim passed away, the house was reportedly robbed of 2 laptops, which led people to believe that there was additional information or footage to be covered up. This person wrote on Twitter that Kim Porter was writing a tell-all book, then magically died and computer misplaced. Al B. Sure got violently sick after blaming her death on Diddy, and then Kid Cudi's car got blown up for dating Cassie. So if you're wondering why people are scared to speak up against Diddy, this is why, because a lot of them end up dead or not okay, or I mean, at least traumatized. Now, I'm really excited for this segment in the podcast because we're talking about Sloan Bella, who is a fellow Sloan. Actually, I remember when I started on YouTube, she was like, she's been on YouTube forever, but she was like, who's this Sloan person? Did he steal my name? And I'm like, no, my name is also Sloan, but she is a psychic medium and she covers a lot on YouTube. Again, go ahead and check out Sloan. We like to support fellow Sloans. One day I hope to like collaborate with her in some capacity, but she's talked about Kim Porter and it is fascinating. Have you ever felt uncomfortable or unheard during a doctor's visit? It's the worst. You shouldn't have to feel that way when it comes to your health. Introducing Zocdoc, the platform where you could find and book doctors who listen and make you feel comfortable. Zocdoc offers tens of thousands of top-rated doctors with verified patient reviews. No more guessing games or awkward appointments. Zocdoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare highly rated in-network doctors near you and instantly book appointments. Once you find the doc you want, you can book them immediately. No more waiting awkwardly on hold with a receptionist. You can filter specific specifically for ones who take your insurance, are located near you, and treat basically any condition you're looking for. The typical wait time to see a doctor booked on Zocdoc is between 24 and 72 hours. That's it. You can even score some same-day appointments. So if you need a doctor, this is what I use. Go to Zocdoc.com/Sloan and download the Zocdoc app for free. Then find and book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/SLOAN. Zocdoc.com/Sloan. Thank you for listening, and now back to the show. Now, do you guys believe in psychic abilities? Comment below. But Sloan was, it's so weird to say her name, Sloan Bella was born with psychic medium abilities, as well as being a technically trained astrologer and a modern day metaphysician. Oh, wow. And she's also the mother of 2 boys. Look at her. Now, she actually began her career on the streets of Toronto, Canada, working with missing and exploited children. By the age of 17, Sloan Bella was established as a professional psychic medium. She worked on a bunch of different projects and really built a great rapport. I mean, there's a reason why people listen to what she has to say, because she is talented. She had an NBC series back in 1995, The Other Side. She worked on a show titled The Love Psychic. She's been on various programs. So clearly she's, again, I just want you guys to know, she's got some skill. There's people listening to her. There's people who believe in her abilities. So whether you believe in psychic mediums or not, she's got something to say, and I'm here to listen to it. I do want to mention that she was able to predict Cassie's lawsuit months before it actually happened.
November of 2023. So her death date was November 15th of 2018, but I'm being shown November of 2023. I don't think we're done with this. I feel she's shaking her head yes. Before she stare at me, then she wait, and now she's shaking her head yes. I am being shown that things are being prepared. She is showing me a trumpet. People are standing straight up. And there are people going to speak, not just about what happened to her, about other things. Something is unraveling.
I mean, you can't make this stuff up. She predicted it. And she even said November 2023. That's when Cassie revealed her lawsuit. That's really the beginning of like Diddy's, recent downfall. I mean, really his biggest downfall ever, because he's been in scandals before, but there's no going back this time. Sloan Bella also predicted Diddy's house being raided.
I am seeing something by March with P. Diddy, another level of this. We're not done. It's like he's going to have to keep putting tarps over the hole in the roof because the rain keeps coming through. So just when he thinks he covered up the hole, another hole starts down there. And when he thinks he covered that hole, another hole starts over there. So it's not going to stop. Like he's not off the hook.
And that assessment is so accurate, because I'm sure he felt relieved when he settled with Cassie, but then there was this federal investigation that presented itself. Sloan Bella is still working her magic, and she's now predicting that it will soon be revealed that Kim Porter actually passed away from toxic metals and so much more. So let's go ahead and react to her prediction together.
Who passed away due to alleged pneumonia, but there's a lot in her body that's metal toxicity or metal toxins. She's like, out with it, out with it. Toxic metal exposure. Toxic metal exposure through some kind of metallic something, metal, that's like a pencil shavings.
Okay, so, I mean, maybe she's assuming like lead poisoning. I mean, that could totally kill you. And I think when people are poisoned, it typically is with a heavy metal, because those are extremely dangerous to get into our blood system. I don't know how he would have been able to get her to consume these. I mean, I'm sure there are professional hit people who go and poison people, putting on their doorknobs, putting it, in their water. I was thinking like, I wonder if there's, because an individual house could get like a water system. Could they go and like infect that water system? I mean, I don't know how they could have gotten it into her system, but these type of reactions she had from the pneumonia would align with what someone who has been poisoned with heavy metals would be experiencing.
So think of how tiny that is. And it went in through the nasal cavity, through a sniffer thing for colds or for allergies, whatever, nose spray. And it was tampered with. So many things were tampered with. Oh my God, her phone was hijacked. She had a second phone, by the way. and nobody got that phone. That phone is hidden. I don't think anybody knows where that phone is because she didn't tell anybody before she passed, but she had a second phone. So conversations about what's going down and coming out were done on a, quote, burner phone. I think she's like, no, don't say it, but I'm going to say it. I feel like she has either a post office box, a bank security box.
Interesting. I mean, I don't know exactly how the medium experience happens. I mean, if Kim would want this to be found or not. But I've heard of other cases where people will go and hide evidence. I mean, I just heard of a podcast this morning where someone had left a letter behind that they were part of a hitman case and revealed it. And I could totally see Kim, like, I guess, planting this evidence so that one day when this investigation went down, they would go and find it and reveal so much that she had been going through. It's interesting that she's talking about the nasal spray and other things being tampered. So it seems like maybe this could have been added into products or things in her home. And I am assuming that Diddy had access to the home because he had 3 kids with her and, you know, big part of her life. I don't know what kind of standing they were at this point, but Diddy tries to make it seem like they were in regular communication, which would make it easier for him to even go and get into her home and to poison her, and maybe getting his kids out of there was a strategy so they wouldn't be using these products that are toxic.
Something storage box that nobody knows about, and it'll be found, but I feel like she was hiding things there. A few years before Kim passed, so probably 2016-ish time frame, thereabouts, could have been 2017, but a long enough time where it was more than 12 months, might not have been quite 2 years. She was speaking to authorities. Now, who the authorities are, I don't think it's like local cops. I think it's maybe more like people who investigate things. She was speaking to them about something that she became aware of. And she had never been aware of this before. She'd been aware of a lot of things. Don't kid yourself. She was not sheltered and she was not naive to whom she had children with. But this was different. This was like a whole notch up of like, oh my God, she was communicating with authorities. I heard that.
That gives me goosebumps. Like what? Trafficking scheme, drug things? Was it just like learning about what Cassie had gone through? Just like, I have no idea what it could have like been that prompted her, but it'd be fascinating if this does come about and is revealed.
Authorities were aware of something, that information that she had, and were asking her to gather more, and I'll use the word intel, but more information about a particular instance. Now, the instance, what I was shown is the instance went back to a party that she attended, and it was a very formal gathering with very high backseat chairs and a very, very long table, a very dark room with like crimson coloring inside this room. It's a formal dining dinner of some kind, and people are talking all across, and there's different kinds of people. These aren't just music.
Why does this sound like such a scary movie, like some elitism thing? Like, oh my gosh, I feel like I shouldn't even be watching this. Like, are the elites out to get us? Like, is this something that Kim Porter had witnessed? And she was like, oh damn, we need to expose this. But then of course, no one's gonna let that fly.
People, these are all kinds of people. These are different people. At this dinner, there was some brokering deals done, okay? Because I feel like she was invited and observant, but not participant, okay? So she was not participating in this, but she observed what was going on. And I feel like it upset her. The ritualized sexual abuse of minors, that is what she hooked into. That is what she found out.
I am shook. I have goosebumps. I am shaking. I am sweating because I love that stuff. And if it is true, I mean, it is so damning. What if this federal investigation is about this? Like, what if Kim Porter is going to get justice in some way and her soul will be at peace? We could only hope so. But I want to talk a little bit about the autopsy report because that's something super controversial in her death. BJ Investigates, aka That Surprise Witness, a big fan of the channel, actually ordered a copy of Kim autopsy report and discovered a couple of strange things. We love BJ on this channel. She is a real life friend. I've spent time with her through the Free Britney movement. I see it at her home. I love BJ and what she does because she goes to the offices and gets the reports and she pulls it out and she reads it and she finds these little clues, things that just don't add up. And her coverage of Diddy has been great. So definitely go and check her out.
But then there's this other bacteriology report, and I really don't know what the difference is, but this one says amended. They name these different bacteria that were found in her blood. The first one is Fusobacterium necrophorum, which I looked this up and it looks like you can contract this from animal bites. Another one that was found in her blood is Clostridium species, not C something something. And I looked that up and, according to Google, this is similar to the type of bacteria that causes botulism and tetanus. Now, all of these are apparently found in her blood. The third one says Enterococcus faecalis, and faecalis means feces. So in her blood, there was a bacteria that is found in feces, in fecal matter. And it says that you can contract it from coming into contact with feces and fecal matter. It was in her blood, though. It was in her blood. So, and then there was one final one.
Okay, there's a lot of things going on in Kim's system. So earlier we mentioned that there was nothing found in her blood. Maybe that's why this report was amended. But a bite from an animal, feces. I mean, what could she have been poisoned by other things? By illnesses, by bacteria that could have led to her getting so incredibly ill?
Took blood out of her body, ran tests. That's what it looks like to me. Y'all tell me. And they found 4 different types of bacteria. One of these bacteria can come from animal bites. One of these bacteria is similar to the tetanus, right? One of these comes from feces. That's the Enterococcus faecalis. And one of them is closely related to salmonella, which you can contract from eating chicken, fish, whatever. So there's 4 types of bacteria found in this woman's bloodstream. It's on this thing called amended report. And the only thing I can think of is what was in those IV bags they gave her. Lobar pneumonia is a type of pneumonia.
I also question if they were maybe spitballing. What could we list that she had to make it seem like she died? If they were trying to figure out how they're going to frame this death, maybe one of these bacterias were going to work. And maybe it wasn't actually a test that was ran, but a report that was created that isn't factual.
Characterized by the infection and inflammation of one or more lobes of the lung. It is typically caused by bacteria, most commonly Streptococcus pneumonia.
BJ also noted that the doctor that was responsible for this autopsy was redacted, which isn't typical. So why would this doctor get protection unless maybe Diddy had his hand in it all?
And then again, they redact the doctor, PMD. I think that means primary medical doctor. A small amount of blood was noted coming out of the right nostril. And white frothy sputum was coming from her mouth. Only time I've ever heard of that is OD death. White frothy sputum was issued from the mouth. She had a bruise on her upper left arm, multiple small red dots, and what appeared to be a bruise was noted on the right upper arm. Wait a second. Not only did she have a huge bruise on her arm, but she had little red dots. What appeared to be small.
We also know that Diddy had a tendency of grabbing up these women, according to his bodyguards. So if maybe she had a bruise on her arm, maybe she was grabbed by him recently, maybe when he learned about a potential book coming out.
All bruises were also noted to the bilateral posterior of the upper legs. So both of her legs, her thighs had bruises on them. She had a big bruise on her left arm with a bunch of little red dots, and she had a, quote, puncture wound on her right hand.
Those are details that reports leave out. There's no mainstream media company going out and publishing stories that have details like this, which is why it's so important that people like BJ pull these official documents and tell us what's really in them. But I have to talk about Al B. Sure, because he's also made a lot of statements in defense of Kim. This headline reads that Al B. Sure says his ex Kim Porter was murdered and drops Diddy's name in a bizarre Instagram post. Al B. was once with Kim Porter and they have a son together named Quincy. According to Al B., he doesn't believe that she died of an illness. He thinks that it was homicide. During a video, he was visibly distraught as he cried along to an R&B song. He said, Al B.'s around the world, I just found this footage from the morning I learned of Kim Porter's death and how it ripped the soul from my physical body. I was on the way to film the pre-show packages for the BET Awards. I received a call from Queenie Donaldson asking me if I was okay and if I had heard the news. He continued, I had no clue. I do know very clearly that Kim didn't just check out all of a sudden with pneumonia. That's some BS, really. This is where I get in trouble. We just celebrated our son Quincy's new deal and had a Christmas special with Netflix. She was in fantastic health and laughing and seeing me and Diddy's mutual exchange at the theater. I'm just gonna leave it there. Now, of course, a post like this had a lot of people questioning what Al knows. One person wrote, God bless your soul, Al B. The all-knowing, all-seeing mighty God is at work. He replied, we good, and sir, we will get through this as well. If not, we know who and why. Kind of saying, like, if we don't get through this, we know that Diddy is the one who harmed us and potentially killed us all. A couple weeks later, Al B. made this post and wrote, she sent me this saying, life imitating art, art imitates life. Now it all makes sense. She told me other stuff too. She was running. I said, call the FBI, which makes me think about Sloan Bella and her prediction about this dinner. Maybe she had saw something, she told Al B. about it, and that she was running away from Diddy, trying to get him in trouble for what she had learned. Al said that she was running and that he said to tell her to call the FBI. These claims have not been verified by external media sources, but it's something he posted on social media, and if he's saying call the FBI, well, now we've got a federal investigation into Diddy. He left a comment under that post writing, you would never believe what she went through. A couple months after these posts were made, Al B. Sure went into a coma. I mean, this is real life. He made these posts kind of exposing Diddy, and now Diddy's trying to get rid of him. Al B. was in a coma for 2 months in 2022. His condition was so serious that at one point his doctors considered putting him in hospice, so he was close to death. Of course, a lot of people were speculating what had happened to Al B., especially after Kim had, mysteriously died and he was speaking out. Now, his health complications started when he collapsed in 2022 while working on new music. He was hospitalized and then diagnosed with multiple serious illnesses, including renal failure. As part of his treatment, Al received a new liver, and he said he was now on the mend.
I was intubated. I was on a ventilator, had a tracheotomy. There was so many things going on to the point where they were considering sending me to hospice. And what people don't truly understand unless you've been through this type of medical journey is taking for granted breathing, tying your shoes, speaking.
The fact that they were trying to send him to hospice is incredible because he's here now. I mean, what could have Diddy done that could have ruined this guy's liver? Kimora Lee Simmons is a longtime friend of Kim Porter's, and she was, around this group of Diddy and Russell Simmons. She was quoted saying, this is unbelievable. When I first heard the news, I was angry that someone would play such a stupid joke. Kimora wrote, they said you were in your room sleeping. Aoki and I rushed to your house to tell you to get up and come outside, but as soon as I arrived, I realized you would not come. Speculative reports also allege that Kimora has been doubtful of her friend's cause of death. She's also rumored to have pertinent knowledge of Kim Porter's alleged tell-all book. Kimora has also left cryptic messages on social media, like, as you sow, so shall you reap, essentially saying that Diddy will get what's coming to him. It is alleged that Kimora knew that Diddy had something to do with Kim's death, so she rushed to her house before he got there to make sure he didn't delete messages from her phone. 3 weeks after posting that cryptic Instagram story, Kimora's house then caught on fire. Kimora says her house caught on fire thanks to the fire department, who quite possibly saved their lives. Conspiracies began surfacing around Kimora Lee Simmons being a potential target of an attack orchestrated by Diddy. She revealed a fire had broken out in her Los Angeles home weeks after they started speculating that Kimora and the rapper were engaged in a feud. And it all goes back to Kim Porter's mysterious death. Here's a post that she made, and it looks like the fireplace is where the fire began, which is interesting because isn't a fireplace where the fire is contained? I wonder if that's an entrance into the house. Can you imagine if someone dropped something down in there? Again, I'm just making assumptions here. There is an old interview with Kimora Lee Simmons that has resurfaced in the wake of Cassie's allegations. allegations. In 2004, New York Magazine interviewed her and she recalled an alleged incident with Diddy. The article states there was a nasty cold burst when Kimora said something to Diddy and he threatened to hit her. And she said, "And I was pregnant, the moron." After the outburst, Diddy reportedly got on his knees and publicly apologized to Kimora for threatening to hit her, a woman, when she's literally pregnant. This is something that I believe happened. Actually, Jeannie Deal has spoken about this incident involving Kimora, and he says that it did in fact happen. So it reveals more of the character that Diddy is and how he is so aggressive to women.
We was at one club and he had said some fly shit. I said, yo, that's Russell Simmons' wife. But if her security ain't gonna do a motherfucking thing, he just cursed her. But that's a whole nother story at a whole nother time, bro.
Because this story is resurfacing, a lot of people are reacting, even though it's 20 years later. People are shocked that this had happened while she was pregnant. I mean, this man is disturbing. Now, I want to talk about a new lawsuit filing that includes updates on what happened to Kim Porter and how Diddy's behavior contributed to their toxic relationship. This article reads, Diddy allegedly forced student ex Kim Porter to take ecstasy during SA. This woman named April, a former Fashion Institute of Technology student, said that Diddy promised to mentor her in the industry after meeting her in 1994, but their friendship quickly manifested into aggressive, coercive, and abusive relationship based on sex. April recalled 4 terrifying encounters with Diddy, one which was from 1996 where he forced Kim Porter and April to take ecstasy, then demanded Kim to have intercourse with April. The night of the encounter, Diddy's late girlfriend Kim Porter was feeling lightheaded and lethargic after Diddy forced the pill down their throats to ensure the pills were swallowed. April vocally opposed the idea of intercourse with Kim, but Diddy quickly reminded her that she had no control over the situation as he could make her lose her job. She was actually interning at Arista Records, trying to be a hopeful in the industry, so again, him leveraging his power. Documents stated that Diddy sat close by and touched himself for some time before pushing Kim Porter off of April and forcing him inside of her. Now, April attempted to end communications with Diddy, but when he persisted and invited her to Kim Porter's party, Kim was very resentful of April after she was forced to engage in these acts with her. Kim actually had her fired from the restaurant she was working at in the Soho area out of retaliation for what Diddy had made them do together. April says the rapper Diddy had a terrible temper and often threatened to harm her if she failed to do what he said. If he witnessed her talking to other men or if she failed to take his phone calls, she would be punished. She was also not allowed to talk about her relationship with Diddy to anyone because he didn't want anyone to know, of course. I mean, he has Kim by his side. The final topic I want to touch on is that autopsy report. I keep coming back to it because there have been plenty of them. I want to talk about what happened to Ed Winter because he was the man responsible for looking at Kim's body and determining what happened. Reports write that as Diddy faces the internet's wrath after being accused of assault, the WLA County Coroner Ed Winter's death has become a topic of interest. The passing of model Kim Porter, who was the mother of Diddy's children, was allegedly investigated by this man. Many now believe that the rapper played a role in his death. On March 19th, TMZ announced that Ed Winter had passed away in his LA residence of natural causes. Now, he was 72 years old, but he was responsible for investigating the deaths of multiple celebrities, including Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, Brittany Murphy, Tom Petty, and Corey Haim. This person wrote on Twitter they doubt that Ed Winter died of natural causes after being asked to reopen the case of Kim Porter's death. The model's autopsy initially revealed that she died of pneumonia, which many refuse to believe. There isn't any hard proof to show that he was targeted by Diddy's people, but it is a coincidence that he died shortly after, probably not doing what Diddy wanted him to do. Here's a clip of Jaguar Wright talking a little bit about how this diagnosis and this autopsy report just doesn't add up.
Kim Porter was working on a book before she died. Kim died from pneumonia, but there's the first coroner's report that said that she died. It was ruled a homicide, and they found toxins in her body to prove that she had been poisoned. You know, they have poisons that create heart attack and pneumonia-like symptoms. It's too many coincidences.
I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast episode. I hope you know a little bit more about what had happened to Kim Porter. Thank you to everyone out there who has been reporting on this and keeping this case alive. It is so important, and it's going to pay off when we find out what really happened to her and why Mr. Diddy is being investigated by the government. I mean, there's got to be a lot to reveal, and we will be covering it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast episode and stay tuned for next week's episode. Bye, guys.